Well, hello there, fellas.
What's
Greetings.
up, guys?
How's it going, guys?
Man, it's awesome. Life is good.
Bruce is having all kind of fun.
Man, I can't even tell you how much fun I've been having.
Yeah, I saw these little short clips of new equipment and everything else. So
It's been so much fun. I just love it.
you're
Bruce,
just
you're
Some
living
days,
the beekeeping dream right now, it seems
someday,
like.
someday I'll be like Greg and can do it full time.
I wouldn't go get in a hurry trying to do all that.
Oh, I love
good
it.
happening.
Brian, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you
Nope.
guys.
You know what they say?
I know
It's better to be seen than viewed.
exactly.
About that one.
Yes, yes, yes. That's
Actually,
it.
except for on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, I guess you are still getting viewed.
Greg, you're still trying to twist my brain around up there with all your smart thoughts that you have.
Yeah.
Your
I
deal.
guess it's better to be viewed on YouTube than viewed in a coffin. So I guess there's that.
That is true. That is true.
See, that's it. That's it. We got 84 people in here already. Tennessee.
Man, that's so
10.
cool.
They have no idea what they're getting into.
I know.
Poor
Keith,
folks.
Grammy, all kind of people. Wow.
Yeah, fun times. We got fun times ahead
You know.
tonight. We got fun times coming up the next week. We got fun times in the next few months. It's gonna be fun.
Big doings on the stream team, huh, guys?
So we're not gonna talk about it early on. We're gonna make you all wait. So you're gonna have to keep watching and watching and watching.
Talk
But-
about what? The super secret big event that everyone doesn't want to miss because everyone could win big? That one?
Exactly. There's
Okay,
going to
I
be
won't
a
say a thing.
shindig. It's
You're speaking our
officially
language.
labeled a shindig next week on Bruce's channel.
Okay.
Yes, there is. There will be more than one winner. Let me put it that way.
Yes. We'll talk about it later though. So
Yeah.
but
Wow.
right now we got to talk about what's going on. So
Well, we don't have to talk about anything. We can just
Well, that's
talk about
true.
whatever, can't we? We could talk
That's-
about nothing for as
Yeah.
long as we want. But I guess if you talk about
Yeah.
nothing, that is something. So technically, it's anything.
Huh.
If you really think about it.
There's his
Yes.
philosophizing again over there.
Yes.
Philosophizing.
Yes. Uh-oh. Eli's making a visit.
Oh,
All right. He's back already.
well,
Fine.
hey guys, nice to see you. What brings you in here tonight?
That's funny. So, Greg, what is happening down at Nature's Image Farm?
Well, Brian, thanks for asking. Well, outside of all of just the fun, wild, goofy stuff, we've got a bunch of new product lines that we're really excited to talk about. Folks will see those here in the coming weeks. There's some really neat products that are really making a big difference in our beekeeping, and I know they're going to make a big difference in other folks' beekeeping too. So that's going to be a lot of fun to kind of launch. We're just we're in it right now. We're in that spot that you are planning for and you are dreaming about, and sometimes you're losing sleep over, and you're trying to figure out all the timing. And I think what a lot of folks don't understand is it's not terribly difficult for somebody to make 10 or 20 or 30 queens. There is an art and a process to it, and by no means am I downplaying that. But when you are scheduling grafts and you're grafting, now we don't graft thousands at a time, we graft just only hundreds at a time. But when you're grafting hundreds at a time and you're thinking about and scheduling, okay, here's when I'm grafting, here's when they're going to the incubator, here's when we're setting the cells, here's when they should hatch, here's at least our 21-day mark for maturity before we pull queens. You start putting all these timelines in, and in the cool season, you can think about it all you want and you can try to project all that, but then all of a sudden you realize all of the planning and everything finally catches up, and you're knee deep in it, and you're thinking, okay, well, and it reminds me, I know we've talked about it before, but one of the greatest lessons that I've learned from some really smart people, this particular lesson was from Jeff Johnson at Premier Bee Products, and I think it was probably the very first interview that I did with him years ago. I kind of asked him, what do you how did you get this far? How did you get from where you were to, owner and founder of Premier Bee Products? And he says, Greg, it's simple. You plan your work and work your plan. And as simple as that is, that's where we're at right now. So we're doing all the things to make sure that we're keeping on time with our queen rearing, and it's a lot of fun. I think we can talk more about that later, but we're enjoying, it's one thing to rear queens. It's another thing to breed queens. And a lot of folks can rear queens, and that's awesome. Breeding queens takes all of this to another umpteenth level. And we're by no means the experts at this, or the only outfit doing this. But when you are thinking about your breeders and their attributes and what those alleles and what all those things mean as it breaks down into daughters and drones and yards and saturation and this and that, and then you get into insemination, you start thinking about all these things in a much different way. And that's where we're at right now, is really, really thinking and planning and working to take our queen rearing and queen breeding to the next level. So that's where I'm at right now mentally, other than just scattered and all over the place. But that's what's kind of on my brain right about now. Bruce, you're kind of living the sweet dreams are made of these. Bruce, tell us about all the things going on down in Dothan, Alabama.
Man, it's been crazy down here for really a couple of months now, but especially the last few weeks. And it's interesting. I look at the folks here in the comments section over here on the side here, and a lot of these people just a month or two ago were commenting on my videos saying, I sure wish spring would get here. I sure wish, I love watching you work your bees. I wish I could get in my bees. And now you see them posting videos and comments that they're, knee deep in it themselves. They're really busy, having a great time. And for the most part, I think throughout most of the country, people are full on into bee season. I guess way up north and maybe some areas of Canada and super far up north, maybe they're not quite there yet, but I think everybody is at least maybe hitting swarm season, and just kind of things are happening. So it's an exciting time of the year to be a beekeeper right now, really wherever you are. Here in Southeast Alabama, we are in the, our major flow, the tallow flow just started about a week ago. And I went down to the Slocum Bee Yard yesterday just to peek in on the on the simple comb super that I put on a hive down there. And I'll have a video coming out on it. I actually put it on Big Red's hive. I assume she's still in there. So that's kind of a cool storyline. But you guys are the only ones that heard it. Nobody else is listening right now. So that's a secret. Anyway. But so I went down there just to check. And Saturday when I was down there, it had just rained that morning. It rained hard. And the tallow the previous week, if you watch my honey super removal video that dropped a few days ago, I showed what the tallow was looking like then. And on Saturday, it was just starting to lay over. The blooms were starting to look like blooms, but it was right after the rain. There weren't really any bees on it yet. Yesterday, I went down there. I saw a few bees on it, and some of the trees are really mature right now with the bloom. Some are still not there yet. Tallow kind of staggers its season a little bit. It's kind of cool how it does that, extends the season. But I saw some bees up there buzzing the tree. If you listened, you could just hear them up there working the blooms. I think most of the bees were up higher, so I couldn't get a real good video of them, but went up to the yard to check on the simple comb and just pulled up in there. And I dropped a reel today on Instagram and Facebook. Man, those bees are shooting out of those hives so fast. They can't work fast enough. It's just so cool. I just love it. You can see them. It was a sunny afternoon yesterday when I went by, and kind of later in the evening, and so you could see the sunlight glistening off the bees as they flew away. I just absolutely love that. It was just so cool to see those bees just going crazy, and I'm sure it's because the tallow flow is kicking in, and right now, probably as we speak, they are just hopefully starting to really pack it in. So that's pretty cool. So I'm hoping to have really good honey flow and honey harvest this year. We did harvest honey about 10 days ago. I guess the day before Mother's Day, that weekend, we harvested honey, beautiful spring honey. I've already bottled up, I think 19 buckets of that, and it's already been sold to stores. So 18 or 19 buckets anyway. And so that was a lot of work last week. Last week I was exhausted because I was bottling honey. After the StreamTeam last week, I went down and bottled honey till almost midnight. But we've got that stores all supplied now. Most customers are happy. And then last week after the stream team, I pulled the trigger on something else. And video will be coming out on that pretty soon. A couple of stories yesterday. I'm trying to kind of figure out Instagram a little bit. I'm not there yet. Instagram, Facebook, as far as the stories and reels. But let me just put it this way. John Hill has a tremendous product. And that's all I'm going to say right now. That thing, my goodness, it's incredible. So video will be coming out on that here in the next few days as well. I've got some things in the works, and either probably tomorrow or maybe Friday, I've got the video of our actual harvest extraction of the honey. There were somebody asked earlier about how the Cowan uncapper worked. I understand that thing is an antique. It's really old. And Rusty, my buddy Rusty that we harvest honey with, he's one of these guys, kind of like Greg, and maybe you too, Brian, that can just fix anything, build anything. He just can do anything like that, and he understands how all that works. But he got it working, and it did work. The uncapper, it took a little while to get it rolling, but it really uncapped the frames nicely, got everything set properly once we started running the honey frames through it. The extractors ran well. We still have some bottlenecks. We're doing it different now as we're trying to figure out. We're getting the front end, first of all, it's a little bit faster with the uncapper. It also is more efficient, and it's less physical work because we're not having to do this on every, thousands of frames. And so it's really cool. Yeah. But then we still had some issues. We had a plan that we thought was going to work on the back end to help get the honey in buckets faster. And it kind of backfired a little bit. So we kind of went back to our old method of that. But we're trying to figure all that stuff out. And anyway, it's really, really cool, man, as far as just some things that are happening right now. I'm so excited about beekeeping right now. There's some other things I'm kind of working on, a little bit behind the scenes with my bees, some things I'm trying, and there's some things I just don't want to show right now. I just kind of want to show maybe the results of how it works out, because it's some things that I'm just trying. So keep that on mind too. And I'll when I kind of see the results, I'm sure I'll show you. So I've got a lot of stuff going on. Simple comb, honey harvest, new equipment. Man, it's just awesome. I love it. It's so cool. I'm fired up tonight. Can you guys tell I'm fired up? I'm fired up.
Way to go, Bruce.
Let me tell you, I'm fired up.
Time of year, you want to bottle all this up somehow, and then so when you get into the other times of the year, you can just revert back to this copy of you, so you can just be like, okay, I'm back in it.
That's it.
Great time to be in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited, and did I say I was excited?
Hey, Bruce, were you
but
excited?
we've also got I'd just like to put a shout out to a couple of folks out in Utah that I kind of met. A couple of YouTube channels out there. I was out there a few weeks ago. Number one, Glade Sessions, the Utah bee man. He's on here tonight, and I saw him in the feed. Another guy named Brecken Barker. He's just a young guy. He's got a really cool story. His story, I see Tim's on here as well, Tennessee Tim. It reminds me a little bit of Tim's story as far as how the bees literally, I think, saved his life. The name of his channel is Barker's Bees and Honey, I believe. But he's just got a few subscribers. He's just getting started. But he's actually had his kids out there working with him some. And I think he's a pretty solid beekeeper. So if you get a chance to go check out those couple of channels, just some guys. I met Glade in person, and I've been in contact with Brecken recently. And I'm just kind of impressed with what they're doing out there. My wife is from Utah, so I kind of got a tender heart. I went to school out there as well. And I just met some awesome people when I was out there. Folks that watch the stream team, watch all of our channels, and then a couple of YouTubers out there I thought I'd give a shout out to as well. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Good stuff.
Sticking to it. See what you did there, Bruce?
I did it unintentionally.
Your unintentional, intentional punnery.
There was a lot of sticky going on around here the last few days, but now we're starting to kind of settle into a little bit of a groove, I think, hopefully.
Wow. That's sweet. Brian, what's new up in the Lordstown, Ohio area, Brian?
Wow. Well, it stopped raining finally. I think we are over 5 inches of rain in May already, so we're above the average. But where my supers, I was telling you, I had gone over, and I have it on video. I gotta edit it. But I went to check, and there was absolutely nothing. I was just like, okay, this does not look right, because I'm seeing everybody, in Southern Ohio, Central Ohio, everywhere like that. They're stacking on, I mean, there's some folks that have harvested once already. And then I went and checked mine thinking, okay, hopefully I'm going to get a decent crop. And I mean, my supers were literally bone dry. I was I know. I was just like, what the, so yeah, that was it. And it's not but at this point now, like when my super's all, it's drawn comb, I might cycle in one or two new frames in a 10 frame box just so that they build some comb, and but for the most part they get drawn comb. But um things are improving though. We've had for the last today was the fourth or fifth day where now today we had a little rainstorm, about 15 minutes worth, but that was it. So it was enough to just wet stuff, water stuff. That way it saved me from watering and gardening, all hanging baskets and all that kind of stuff. But and then sun all day. So I had gone over the other day, and I actually, the queen, the insane queen from that package I got, she's just got her own. I disassembled that resource hive. The one side had the laying worker, they got shaken out, and the other one, I just made it a production colony.
Wow.
She is laying it up. I mean, it's literally, Greg, it's sheets, and there's just a smidge, like literally just on those outer edge, but the whole entire frame.
Are you sure? Are you sure that's what you're saying? Because everybody knows, a packaged queen, she's not going to do that. She's not going to lay.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
It's an interesting thing when you see everyone everybody should be proud of good queens. We should be.
Yeah.
Some folks, I don't think they know what they're looking at, and it's through a little bit of posturing, and they say, "Hey, buy my queens. Look at this beautiful slab," and they pull a slab of brood out. I'm looking at it, and I say, packaged queens will do that too, especially in the first, 45 days. That's what they do. They lay wall to wall.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got that one all set up. That colony actually has a super on it now. So and it was set up almost perfect, because when I transferred everything over, I got it set up like single brood. So they've got an excluder on now, and a super that had drawn comb. So if I can pull honey off of that colony, then it's like, well, I am going to get a honey harvest from a package.
What?
So I know, yeah. But now, I mean, that's not, that scenario there is not the same as everyone, just because when I installed it, they were installed on drawn comb. The super has drawn comb, so they don't have to go through the building phase. It's just, hey, here it is, and lay it up and get going. So
did you let them go up in the super and draw, or you had drawn supers already? You said
all drawn comb.
Did you let them go up into there and do a little work first, and then shake them down to the bottom? How'd you work with the
So I went over, and I had thought about letting them just get adjusted to it, but I just threw the excluder on, threw the super on, and they were already, like, by the time I had to get some things situated, and I didn't put my outer cover on, and there were already bees going up in there. So I thought, it's fine. So, but they're all doing good. I mean, I sent you some pictures of, like, my larger colonies are just, they're going mad. And I haven't, I printed those upper entrances, those little dials that I was going to put on my supers. Every single time I go over there, I forget to take my drill. So I had been unable to install those. Lynn, thank you. And Greg, thank you for the super chat as well. But so I did the old trick like everybody else does. I cracked, the top super on there just a little bit to give them that little entrance and some ventilation. And Bruce, I'm telling you, I sent Greg a photo, and you could see right lined up across that top crack, all their butts up in the air and just in and out, in and out. So, and the supers, from the last video, and it's been about I don't know, week or so, whatever. But when I went over the other day, packing it out.
So you're saying you did the little staggered box thing, like what I do?
Yep.
It works well, doesn't it? They love it, man.
Oh
They absolutely love it. I'm not sure why I never thought of it before I saw Gus Mitchell and those guys doing it, but it works, man. It works so good.
I went then, and like when I went the prior time to check, I just I'll just go over and crack a super and lift it just to check weight. And literally last time there was nothing. You just lift it up like it was nothing. This time when I went over and cracked it, and it was solid. So in like a 4 or 5 day time frame, they really hit it. But we've gotten, like Greg, you had messaged me, the locust here is all over the place, and now the berries. My mom has a huge briar patch, berries, and they are literally all over it. I walked out front just to check it, and it was polluted with bees. So I was just like, they've got it out there now. So I'm hoping that I can get a decent, harvest. But we'll see. We'll see. So.
Yeah. Maybe we could take a minute just to talk about that a little bit, unless you guys have a different topic about kind of how to get bees to work above a queen excluder. Or maybe we could even talk about whether or not you should use a queen excluder. Is it really a honey excluder, or is it a queen excluder, or is it? I mean, those are some questions, because you
play on word. That's good, Bruce.
Yeah, you have you have people that say they never use queen excluders because they term it a honey excluder, and then you have a lot of people that use them all the time, wouldn't go without them, and I've done a lot of both, and so I finally figured out a few things that help. Now, I'm not saying I would get as much honey if I had no queen excluder on there, but I've used them now for the most part, simply because when you got a lot of boxes to pull, you just don't want to have to try and dig through every frame and see if there's brood in it. And that's what I used to have to do, and I just got tired of it. So I decided I may sacrifice a little bit of honey, but I don't know that I do with the new technique I use. So
yeah.
I've been doing it for about 3 or 4 years now, and it's worked well.
I'm with you, because I think it's been 2 years ago now. I figured, well, everybody's talking about, ditch the excluders, because they'll have that huge honey ring up there and the queen won't cross it. And so I tried like half of them. I didn't do it to all my colonies, but I just did half. I pulled the excluders, and I had 3 or 4 colonies that literally every super had brood in it. It's like the queen kept this tight, like
chimney straight up
column, and she literally laid in every super. And I was just like,
chimney. Yeah.
And then you're digging, you're going through and digging and pulling, and it's
bumping bees off. Yeah, it's a pain.
I just, from that to me, like there were a few that worked out perfect, but then for those other ones that didn't, it was enough to, it just ingrained in my head, I don't want to ever have to worry about digging through supers and checking every single darn frame to see if a queen was a knucklehead like that. So I just throw them on.
Greg, go
ahead, Bruce.
I think this is one of those things that's an absolute truth, that you have to use queen excluders. Don't you agree with that?
Bruce is trying to get me fired up. Look, Bruce, it's working. I really want to be more intentional with my honey crop. But the fact of the matter is, I am intentionally unintentional with my honey crop, primarily because we are so focused on making so many bees right now that fortunately the bees, we're blessed because the bees are absolutely just making a lot of brood. And then the secret to making honey is making bees, making brood, so it goes hand in hand. However, the bees get to a certain point. They reach a certain, what's the word I'm looking for? precipice. They get right to a certain intensity, and then you can either you can pull them back and they'll just sit there, and it takes them a little while to get the needle back up again. Or as they're going up there, you give them just that little bit extra room, or that box or that thing, and then they turn it wide open, and then you're talking honey. What I have been doing a lot of is we've got some colonies that we are for sure trying to get honey off of. I've got one. I wish I had more time to do all the things I want to do. I have got a colony here behind the barn that I am trying to let be as monstrous as possible, because right now she is a third-year queen. I'm pretty sure she's a third-year queen. And she's in 1, 2, 3, 4 deeps, and I think 4 supers. It's to the point to where the next box, it'll be taller than me, and I'm 6'2". Now, why in the world do I care about that? Well, they haven't swarmed, for one. And if I just get ahead of them and add just a little bit of room, it seems to be pacifying that. And I think that's really important. That's one thing. Number two, obviously they're pretty prolific if they're that tall. Now she came out of the winter in, let's see, a story and a half. So she's really laying it up very quickly. And so there's, people say a lot of things. One of the things that I have heard over and over and over again is that a queen can't outrun the colony. And for some reason, I just don't quite necessarily always say that that's an absolute. Something happens when you get when she's making so many bees, and the field force matures at some exponential level in the colony. Yes, they all die when they get around maybe 45 days or so, but something happens in these several week periods where there is rotations of brood, where we have so much of a field force. There is so much work to be done, and if we can keep stacking boxes on there, yeah, she's brooding it up, and she wants to be in almost triple deeps as far as brood. But the outside edges are packed full of honey, and then straight up is packed full of honey. So anyways, why am I keeping her around? Well, she's even with these huge boxes, extremely gentle, very dark bees. I almost have to beg her to swarm. Now, of course, I'll run out there tomorrow and there they'll be. But back to excluders. They have no excluder. I'm stacking boxes of the moon on those. And some colonies I can do that. Some colonies I can, if I give them a story and a half, meaning a 10 frame deep and then a honey super, that's like this happy space, happy place for mama. That's what she likes. I can start stacking boxes up, and then I just start going in through under supering until I get 2 or 3 supers on there. That's too much. Then it's time to take some boxes off, or I'm just stacking on top. So in a lot of situations here, for what we're doing, we're not using excluders. Primarily, if she wants to get up there in that super, not a big deal, because we're going to end up splitting the tar out of everything here very soon, and that's fine. If I've got medium frames and deep frames, it's no big deal, because the medium frames, I'll end up splitting things out into a story and a half, and then give them material right down the center of the colony, fresh frames on the outside, and guess what? They're on cruise control. They don't need me for a month, for the most part. So that's one way. But there are other colonies where we are intentional about using excluders to maximize honey production. I can say this because I guarantee you Susie is not going to be checking back on the replay. But I have robbed her so many years of honey that I'm trying to be more intentional by making sure mama's got plenty of honey. Now, she is not a main enterprise, but it's a significant amount to where if she wants to sling some honey for to the homeschool moms and the co-ops and the local community and folks that want her to ship stuff to it, then great, she has that, right? But you know how many times I've said, oh yeah, no, we'll keep 16 or 20 colonies just for honey, and we'll pull it off, and that'll be yours. And you know how many times every single year I get into increase mode and I'm running through it and I say, oh, what are those? There's 4 extra pallets of bees there. What are those for? I'll split them out, and I'll split them out. And then I swear, as soon as I do that, it's the next day. She goes, hey, so how are those production hives going for me? And I said, oh man, that's where those came from. But the ones that we're specifically using for production, you know what I'm actually using for excluders? We're now third year in using them. Let's take a little comment vote here in the side on the sidebar here. Which and this is something. Which is best, a metal queen excluder or a plastic queen excluder? Which is best? Leave it in the comments here. Plastic and metal. Because I have wildly gone in circles, and I really feel good about where I'm at on which type of excluder and why. And we'll come back to that one a little bit later. Let us know in the comments here, what do you prefer, plastic or metal or none? Anyways, I could go on for all the nuances here, but there are things that are more intentional that have excluders. There are some that are intentional that she's happy and a little taking up residence in half of a honey box, and that's keeping her quelled. And then there's other ones that it's just let her rip, tater chip, whatever you want, you got it. Just keep adding box.
Look at the chat. Metal.
Wow.
Metal.
I have a feeling you might be. Anyway, we'll see where you go with this.
Yeah,
Bluebird said
I have a feeling that the
I would-
feeling that you're having, Bruce, is exactly what's going on here.
Well, I have mostly plastic, and I'll tell you why, because they're way, way cheaper. But I do have a few metal ones that I've ended up with just inherited or somehow ended up with some metal ones. And I haven't really done a comparison to see which is better. But kind of the way I like to set them up, and this year I didn't really do a great job of explaining it, but I like to let the bees work their way up into the supers. I like to add them fairly early and let the bees start working them and then come back. Usually, ideally, at least 3 weeks before you're going to harvest, and put the excluder underneath the boxes you want to take, or just right above the brood box, however high that is, whether it's a single deep, deep and a medium, double deep, quadruple deep, whatever it is for your brood box. I'll put the queen excluder wherever that is, and then I'll kind of adjust the supers and move them around above. And then one thing that someone told me years ago, and I can't remember if it was Randall Carter or Gus. It was probably before that, because I didn't even hear about the stagger technique until a couple of years ago. But someone just said, I remember one time, because I didn't used to use excluders, and I got tired of digging through the brood, and so someone said you have to have an upper entrance, and I was like, well, my boxes don't have upper entrances on them. But what I started doing was I took a little stick, probably a 1/4 inch, big enough so a drone could get out, because sometimes there's drone brood that she'll start to lay up in some of those supers if you leave them on there too long, or even if she starts laying up there. And you want to make sure the drone can get out, because if the drones can't get out, then they get trapped in there. And as soon as you lift that lid, boy, it's like they just lift off of there. It's kind of cool, actually, how they do that. But if they're trapped in there, it's kind of sad. So you want to allow them to leave. And also, the bees just come up. It kind of draws them up in there, and they just guard that, and they love it. I don't know that they use it as an upper entrance as much as like a ventilation area. It's their little bottoms poked up, and they're just fanning, and they're just they seem to be really happy when I do that. And when I started doing that, first I put a little stick in the corner of the lids. I just use flat lids or migratory type lids on most of my hives. And then, Gus Mitchell and Randall Carter, some different folks, I saw how they were doing it. I think I'm not sure if I actually talked to Gus about it or if I just saw it on a video. But for those who haven't seen on my video where we pulled honey, a couple of videos ago that I posted, I talked quite a bit about it. But I just usually it's the top box, the top super, and slide it forward enough so there's about a 1/4 inch of space. And so those bees, and I usually do it on the back. You can do it on the back, the front, it doesn't matter. And so they just love it. They use that, and the bees have no hesitancy to go up there and work those upper boxes. But that's kind of how I do it, and those are some principles that I learned. Another way you can kind of keep the bees from moving up into the comb sometimes is if you're trying to draw comb out, you could put a box of foundation underneath the drawn comb, and they'll draw that out. That acts almost like a queen excluder until they get it drawn out a little bit, and then she likes loves to go up there and lay in that brand new drawn comb. And so that's another little thing I do. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about. Right now, I know folks are stacking their hives up. Honey season's coming in. We're right in the middle of ours. We'll be done in probably about a month or less. But a lot of people are just cranking it up a little bit. So those are just some ideas. And if you want to see how I do it, and Brian, it sounds like you started doing that too. Maybe you're going to show that as well, just kind of how that works.
Yeah. Amber, welcome. Thank you. No, I know what Greg went and grabbed some excluders, but I've gone like full circle in the whole excluder as far as material. I've I started out plastic, and then without looking at, and Bruce went all dark here, but that's okay. Without like really looking at functionality and wear and tear and things like that, I went and bought metal, just and metal is more pricey, and I was thinking, okay, metal, it's going to last forever, plastic, whatever. And I've gone full circle.
Ryan, now look, we have to be careful how we do this, because I don't want, I don't want to take away from any like extremely excellent upcoming Wednesday night StreamTeam beekeeping chats where it's just going to be, what in the world is going on here, where you're just hanging on for dear life. I know that's a really bad. Ooh, great. Yeah, there's a great photo of this staggering. Equally nice photo of a beautifully done wax dipped box. Nice.
Look at that. Job. Yeah. And that's the front of that colony. They're busy.
Couple bees there for sure, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Brian, I want to share something with you. Can you make the magic happen? And let's do a little giveaway. And let's have the giveaway hashtag, ready? Hashtag Greg's Fave. GREGS FAV. Greg's Fave. Hashtag Greg's Fave. All right. Here's if I could actually get videos out on time, this would be a really fun video to shoot. Let me start at the beginning. There it is. There's the hashtag. Greg's Fave. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ship you my favorite excluder. And I'm going to talk just a little bit about why, and why it makes a difference, and why maybe it doesn't make a difference for you. First, getting into using excluders at all, I went with, kind of the basics, and it was what was the most cost effective. And at the time, it was the yellow plastic excluders. And I'm going to refrain from saying which beekeeping box store distributes those. Okay, so we would put them on, and yeah, there was a learning curve because maybe we didn't exactly know how to use them correctly, and there was some nuance to them. And so I thought, and then I kept hearing, folks say, metal's better. And so I stopped trying to use the plastic ones. And then I heard, that metal was better. And I heard that metal was better from very trusted sources. And I absolutely trust it and believe that metal is 100% better than the plastic excluders that I was using at the time. Here's a metal excluder. I know everybody knows what a metal excluder looks like, but what's interesting is if you look at the orientation of these rails, when we use those, we'll put the under rails down just to create a little extra bee space, and those will go down flat like that. But if you look at the orientation of these rails here, they're running parallel with the length of the box. Look at all that surface area. That is just an enormous amount of surface area that the bees can get through, and I think that they do a really good job of doing that. Okay, but here's what I tend to notice. Now, to be very crystal clear, this is just my opinion. A very trusted source and a friend, Bob Benny, uses nothing but these, to the fact where he loves these so much that he personally welds excluder crates to put on the trucks to store and haul these around. And why does he go to the extent of fabricating steel crates for the excluders? Because we can't bend them up and tear them up. Because all it takes is literally just spreading one of these the wrong way, just a little bit. And what you have is just enough room for a queen or a virgin queen to squeeze through, and that can cause you some major aggravation. You know, because there is so much space up here, what I have noticed is the bees will draw an enormous amount of burr comb. They will absolutely just comb this thing from here to Timbuktu. Now with a heat gun or a torch, you know, you can melt that, you can do things. But one thing that I also notice, and maybe it's more of the type of bees that we run, is we run Caucasians, and these are Caucasians that came from very specific genetic lines that were very excellent on the source of where they came from, how pure they actually were. Of course, when you start going from that line and go down, it waters down rather quickly, especially if you don't have the drone yards to get them mated. But what I noticed is our bees propolize a lot. So what we notice is that these are constantly getting stuck to the box. And what I'm noticing is when you get in, no matter what you do, when you get in here to pry these rascals off, sometimes it's deforming the metal just a little bit. Now, that's not a super big deal, but over time it is. And what I've noticed is when I'm getting in there and I'm bending these, sometimes they're taking on their own little shape. They're getting whopper jawed just a little bit. Now,
Yep.
With the weight of a box over top, not a super big deal. However, it's one thing to consider. Now, as a lot of folks may or may not know, we have been dealers for Motherload for a couple years now. And Nick over at Motherload sent me a sample a couple years back of a plastic excluder. And truth be told, I thought, great, another plastic excluder that I'll never use, that the bees won't seem to go through, and didn't think much of it, but I gave it a shot, primarily because I was out of metal excluders. So I was out of metal excluders, and I had these plastic excluders from Motherload, and I threw those on. Brian, what are we looking at here?
Brian Lee just sent that. That's a view of boxes that are staggered like that.
Okay. Interesting.
Those are, you know what? I just sent that exact picture to you on Messenger, Brian. I pulled it off. He pulled off my video, I think. So anyway,
Neat.
Sorry.
Well, so here I am. I'm out of metal excluders, and I've got these plastic excluders that Nick from Motherload sent us with a bunch of other stuff that we sell here in the shop. And this has been a couple years back now, and I thought, well, let me try them. Well, I put them on, and you know what I noticed? I noticed that, holy cow, the bees are going right through those excluders, no problem, and they are making full boxes of honey and capping them, no problem. And I was having less of the challenges that I personally have with metal. One thing that's interesting is you always hear that don't use excluders because it shortens the life of the honeybees. It's harder on their wings and their body. And I'm sure it is. I'm not arguing that it's not. However, when we look at the life of the honeybee, I mean, if they live 45 days, and if the bees that are crawling back and through these excluders are maybe the older bee, maybe the 32 to 45 day old bees, so they've got, I don't know, a very narrow window of time. I mean, how much shorter are we shorting their life? Like 2 hours? Is it 1 day? What's the data on that? Here's what I noticed. I don't know that I've ever had any kind of metric, or I've ever looked inside of a colony and said, oh, wow, look, here are a bunch of bees with destroyed wings or beat up wings, or they look really ragged and tired. I've personally never seen that with excluders. But you know what the difference is? The difference is the older style plastic excluders were cut. They were produced a little differently. They had much sharper and squared up edges that I do think probably was a little rougher on bees, where the metal has the smooth ribs and I think they could go through. Well, check these ones out. So this is the plastic excluder, and I've never looked better, by the way. Wouldn't you agree, Bruce? Look at that. I should just keep this filter on all the time. But with with the queen excluder that Nick makes at Motherload, these are smooth. They're actually have almost a little bevel to them, and the bees go right through it. Well, why does that matter? Well, these are almost Greg proof. I have to be a little less mindful with care on these, and I don't have these warping, and I don't have these distorting, and I'm not having any of these break and have a queen go through. What's also handy about these, like while we like most folks know if they've been to the shop, we sell those in 10 frame and 8 frame. But what's cool is if you want to cut some down to make a 5 frame, you can, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I think that's pretty cool. I like the way those plastic lay and hug over the box. And when I go to prime up, even when they're propolis, it peels off almost like if you've ever used like Reflectix or a burlap, it just kind of peels off and holds its form. So I like those a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm no longer investing personally in metal excluders for my own use. Of course, we'll have them in the shop because everybody's got their preference.
Mm-hmm.
And just because Greg says he prefers plastic doesn't mean that if you've got metal, you should throw them all out and go buy plastic, because that's terrible. That's a huge waste. But what I'm saying is consider that maybe products change and there is improvements. Maybe if you're having challenges with metal, give the plastic a shot. And as far as a price point, there's not that much of a price difference. In the shop here, I think we're at $12.50 for the metal and $10.50 for the plastic. I mean, both are a great price, but it's $2 cheaper for the plastic. So what is my favorite? My favorite is the Motherload the plastic queen excluder. And so Brian, let her rip, and we'll see, and we'll ship whoever is the winner here. I'll ship them their choice, a 10 frame or an 8 frame Motherload plastic queen excluder. Nancy Lawson, come on down. Good job. Nancy, if you would, go to our website at naturesimagefarm.com. Now, you won't be able to buy those queen excluders today. Maybe later on this week, we'll finally get around to getting those put on the website. But Nancy, go to our website, click the About Us, and shoot me a message with your contact info and your ship to address. And we'll be proud to send you out a Motherload plastic queen excluder here from Nature's Image Farm. Thanks, Nancy.
Nancy, congrats. I have periodically, I have Nightbot is dropping Greg's link, so his website. So if you just keep an eye on that, you'll get it there. So, but
we also have some really cool other Motherload products that you guys will see might just show up as a giveaway next week, Bruce.
Wow.
People don't want to miss that.
This is kind of like it's a surprise to me too. I don't even know what we're going to be giving away on my own chat.
You don't even know. Bruce is he's just hoping he can turn the computer on and just hang in there, because it's going to be so intense. It's going to be fast and furious. It's probably going to be the biggest. Should I even say the G word? Are we allowed to say the G word?
Yeah, absolutely. Depends on which one you're saying.
The biggest giveaway show you've ever seen. Yeah. It's going to be crazy, and we're going to be celebrating a huge milestone. If you haven't noticed, Bruce's channel has just grown tremendously. Bruce has put a lot of work into producing high quality, great videos, bringing you along with him working his bees and trying to figure things out and grow and requeen and make queens and make honey, and the trials and tribulations of the Dothan Shogun himself. Has hit 25,000 subscribers, and we're going to have a lot of fun next Wednesday, 8 p.m. The StreamTeam Beekeeping Chat celebrates the Bruce's Bees 25,000 subscriber milestone, the biggest giveaway show you have ever seen. You don't want to miss it. All your friends. It's going to be awesome.
Well, now we're not competing with Mr. Beast or anything like that, but
oh yes, we are. Mr. Beast, watch out. Here, we're coming for you.
Anyway, but yeah, it's going to be awesome. I just like to, I'll go ahead and mention some of the companies. There may be more. These are the ones so far that have kind of gone ahead and committed to products. We've got, Brian for Queen Right Dial, Brian and Jason. We got Easy Ox, oxalic acid tablets and powder. We got Simple Comb is involved. We have, of course, Greg with Nature's Image Farm. Lorob's, And then kind of the grand prize, well, they're all grand prizes. I don't want to put it, but we're going to have an actual very large giveaway from Hilco. John Hill at Hilco has agreed to give away something
Is it a bee brush?
It's a bee brush. This is high quality gold plated bee brush. So yeah.
Well, no, it was
actually
it was a box of Hive tools, right?
Yeah, it's worth a lot of Hive tools.
Left-handed
Hive tools.
For all you left-handers, you don't want to miss it. It's gonna be so cool.
Actually, he's going to give away an extractor, a really nice extractor. And I've just got to say, I've seen everybody talking about the extractors. I think you guys both have his extractors. I know Mike Berry. So many people have talked about his extractors, and I actually, well, the video is going to be coming out soon, but I ordered the Mega Max, which is the biggest extractor that he has currently. He might just be working on something even bigger, but I ordered the 32 framer. We got that thing. Rusty and I got that thing yesterday, and showed up at his place down where we extract honey. And I'm talking about, we opened that thing up and ran that thing. And I think they're all the similar quality, just really heavy duty, well-built machines. And we were just kind of looking at it like, oh my gosh, nice shiny object. How little kids, how a raccoon looks at a shiny object and what you just can't. It was just like two kids in a candy store. So it was really, really cool. And we'll be putting that thing to use for real here in a few weeks when we harvest honey again. But I can't tell you how good all these folks have been to me. John, both of you guys, Simple Comb folks, I've worked closely with them. Like I'm about to do a video. Hopefully I've got some Simple Comb on one of my hives right now. And Madison has been really good. I've worked with her a lot with the Simple Comb. And then of course, Rob with Lorob he's been with me from, when I really started growing my channel and getting serious about it, he was right there. And the first giveaway I ever did on my channel, Rob donated one of his early vaporizers. And so some of these, and there might be some more. I've got a couple more people I wanted to call and talk to and see if they want to get involved, at least one other company for sure. But Rob, some of these, Apime is going to donate some products as well.
Forget our buddy Coron and Arda over at that.
He's got, and some of these companies have more than one thing they're going to donate, and so more than one item. And so it's going to be, I estimate we're looking at north of $2,500, $3,000 worth of products, if not more than that. So
$3 million.
Well, like I said, Greg, I'm not Mr. Beast.
You never know. You never know, Bruce.
It's giving away.
What you're doing is you're providing an experience and opportunity, and some of those things are priced.
I will say that extractor, the Mega Max from Hilco, it is a beast, though. It is a beast. It's a monster.
Beastly. Mr. Beast.
Anyway, so I just wanted to invite everyone to come on, tell your friends about it. There are going to be multiple prizes, multiple giveaways, everything ranging from a few dollars all the way up to nearly $1,000 prizes, and there will be quite a few folks that win. But the topic is going to be beekeeping products and giveaways, and so we're going to talk about the things out there, the things we use, and we've done a lot of talking about bees and swarms and splits and a lot of things like that are critical, but you can't do any of that without the equipment to do it. And so I thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk about equipment. And while we're talking about equipment, let's just give some equipment away. And I'm so grateful for all the folks that have been willing to. These are people that I have really formed good friendships with. I've talked to most of these folks in person, if not all of them, and just good people, man. Just people that are trying to further the beekeeping industry. And that's what we're looking for. That's what this community on here is all about. It's just helping everyone.
And I just want to add, though, no purchase necessary.
No purchase necessary, required. All can enter.
Doesn't cost anything.
Doesn't cost anything.
It's free.
Should we tell the story? No, let's don't talk about that.
No, I'm not.
Can we tell?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Did you
join in on Bruce's stream next week, and you have a chance to win one of 57 million prizes.
I just got the email. Our guest, our MC for the night for the big giveaway is confirmed. The one and only Oprah Winfrey. Guys, how can you get?
Oh gosh!
You get an extractor. You get an extractor. No, I'm just kidding.
Of all the people, I'm just kidding.
I didn't say Whoopi Goldberg. Give me some.
Well, that would be, but yeah. Well, let's just go. I'm gonna be quiet.
Oh man.
Okay. moving right along. So
I
anyway,
gotta ask,
back at the
I gotta
ring.
ask though, is that
Really.
Megamax as quiet as like all of the other units?
I think so. I've never heard the other units, but I will tell you this: when it gets to going full speed, it's making some noise from the wind whipping through those frames, through
Yeah.
those things. It's just like there's like a tornado in there, man. It's going so
Yeah.
fast. But
Wow.
Because
we were talking about how we're going to have to be careful. We'll be busting some frames. So, I mean, because it really is rocking and rolling really fast. So, but now that's empty frame. No frames in there.
Now,
And
Bruce,
so,
if you had pure cell frames, those rascals are built tough. Thick
we do have
frame.
some of those. We do have some of those, Greg. We don't have all those. I'm not rich enough to change everything out with those.
We're going to
yet,
help
but I'm
you with
working
that
on it.
someday. We're going to ship you some skids and stuff at some point. You're going to have your very own.
We are.
We'll figure it out.
Hey, the Bee Expo, that might be a good time to make a transaction like that, Greg. What do you think?
I think that would be a great time to make a transaction like that.
We'll see. Anyway,
So
that's way down the road. We'll see.
You should, Brian. You should. Whatever you're thinking about, you should.
Brian wants to skid it. Brian wants to skid a pure frames.
Do it.
Should I not join like the live on camera next week and just join so that I can enter for some prizes?
I would go ahead and sign up with a couple YouTube screen names and do whatever you have to do to get
Brian, we'll just give you some Queen Right dials. You can have those for free. You
I knew I like you. Oh, well, here, hang on.
Hey, I do want to, let's recognize a comment in here real quickly.
Boxes of them.
Wow. I see. Yeah. Well, the other night it was like, 10:30 here, Brian. And I'm like, text him. I'm like, I need to quit texting this guy. It's 11:30 up there where he's at. That's just rude. He's like, no worries, I'm printing. So
yeah,
he's up till midnight every night printing Queen Right dials. But MYK, NKY Honeybees, thanks for that super chat. But so this is a reality of beekeeping right here, and I think some people are dealing with this. They said, just want to complain. It's the worst honey year I've had in 5 years. Rain for days during the time when everything was blooming. I'm bummed. That's just a reality, because like I'm talking about, we've had so far a good year with everything has fallen into place so far. Now that could change. If we have 2 weeks of rain the next 2 weeks, we're in trouble as well. But it's that's unfortunately that's the nature of beekeeping, the nature of farming of any kind, is that you just can't control the weather. And we had a year here kind of like that last year where we had a late freeze and which cold snap, which it wasn't really super freezing cold here where I'm at, but whatever happened, the spring honey just did not exist to speak of, at least not anything to harvest, anything significant. And then our summer flow was okay, but then it quit raining, and I think that's what caused the summer flow to stop kind of halfway through. And so we had a kind of a bad, we got some, but it wasn't great. And so, and of course, if you have just a few hives, it's really frustrating because you want to maximize that production. You work all year to build those bees up, and then all of a sudden, bam, you got 2 weeks of rain, and it can be very, very frustrating. So we feel your pain up there. And I don't think it's just you. I know there have been some other people that have had like feet of rain, like 11, 12 inches over, the last few weeks. I think there's been a stretch across the country that's been horrible with that. And it's just been rough. And so, we feel your pain, and, I would just say, hang in there. It'll get better. We had last year was a horrible year for me. I lost a lot of beehives, a lot of colonies of bees. We made some honey, but I ran out this year. I didn't have enough. And I learned a lot from it. And this year has worked out well. So just hang in there.
Yeah.
And, we understand. And Brian, you actually lost all your colonies one year, didn't you? Which that's talking about frustrating and discouraging, man. But you came over that. You overcame that. Greg, you had a storm blow through and had to pick up the pieces. Awesome video on that. So
yeah,
I think everyone in here who's had bees for any length of time has gone through some really tough things. And whether it's beekeeper error or just natural stuff that you can't help, things happen.
Yeah, and Anil, like I'll say, keep your head up, buddy, because up until, like I was saying very early on, up until a couple days ago, we had rain nonstop here also. So if you go back 5 days, what was it, the 16th or 17th, up to that point, we had 5 inches of rain here in my area in Northeast Ohio, and we're like an inch over what we normally get on average. So I went out, looked at my colonies, and literally I lifted completely empty supers, and I was just like, I told my wife, I said, I don't think I'm going to get a single drop of honey, you know. So, and now it changed. Mother Nature has a way sometimes of just changing things up. It'll look very dark, and you'll think, oh my gosh, I'm sure it's discouraging and everything else, but keep your head up, because it'll get better.
You gotta also remember, nature always strikes a balance. You can't have it super good on the front end and on the rear end of the year. And so, a nail with, that's terrible, man. I'm sorry that you're having such a feeling unproductive as far as the honey crop goes. But just consider that at least maybe the ground aquifers, everything are fully charged, which could mean longer term consistent blooms. White clover, some of the other things that you get into, you could have a very nice wildflower bloom throughout the summer because of the amount of rain you've had now. That could be beneficial. And then maybe you'll make up for it on the tail end in a heavy fall flow. And maybe if you've got a market and a desire and you prefer or you like the fall honeys, maybe you'll really capitalize later in the year. But just think of it this way, though. It's if you had your money hedged, your bee money hedged, or your investment going a certain direction where you were either raising bees and queens or you were on a honey crop. Man, I don't know. If you were raising queens, that much rain all the time would have been really rough on mating flights and that investment, and making successful splits and having enough incoming food for the brood without just laying the feed to them. So there's always a silver lining in there somewhere, and I think that's for everyone to kind of discover. And to be truthful, the times that things don't go well, and you really got to dig deep and find the silver lining or the greater meaning or the greater good in it. Those are the things that stick with you long term and really impact the future and shape of your beekeeping. But hey, if you're having a tough year this year, for all of our friends out there, we just want you to know that our thoughts and prayers are with you. I know a friend of ours, Shabu Raj, down in the Columbia, Tennessee area, Two Rivers Honeybees, he was absolutely just his entire farm and breeding program just absolutely wiped off the face of the earth with tornadoes that came through. And so our thoughts and prayers continue to be with Shabu and his family, his business, as they work hard to pick up the pieces and move on. But that's the hard part with farming and agriculture, is we are at the mercy of weather and nature, and it's really hard to accept those things. And Bruce, I think we were saying something about the serenity prayer the last time that we were talking. And I think it's especially fitting in times where you're just like, all right, what do I do? Throw in the towel? How am I gonna work through this? But Billy Miller comments here: great optimism, Greg. Something good comes from almost every situation, and absolutely, all things work for good to the glory of those who believe. So I think there's always something to keep in mind there too. But anyways, we're going for an hour and 6 minutes already. What do you say we take some questions and let's see. Bruce, is a good question for you. You had Mr. Randall Carter on. He's probably the super stacking king if I've ever seen one. But Nancy Lawson asks, is it possible to stack too high? Will the honey all be tended to? Will beetles take over? Any other issues? Great question. Bruce, what do you think?
That is a great question. It really depends on the population that you have in that hive, and you got to watch them close when you do that. I actually have mentioned before on these chats that for a while I was kind of a student, you might say, of what I call a mega hive. And I like the word mega because I got a Mega Max extractor now, and I had a mega hive, but that thing was probably 8 or 9 feet tall. I think we had 3 deeps, and then 8 or 9 boxes, mediums on top of that thing. And Tim Ives does that up in Indiana. But he kind of, his principle was, just kind of like you mentioned earlier, Greg, with the hive that you've got going on right now, the incredible, almost exponential amount of workforce that you have in a colony like that. But I will tell you this, I did that one year with one hive. I happened to pick the right one the first time. I was actually a student of Tim Ives. I learned from him. I actually talked, messaged him back and forth. He taught me the principles, and I built that thing up. We harvested 315 pounds of honey from that thing that year, and the bees did tend it. I mean, it was just an unbelievable. I've got a couple of videos. It's from way back in 2015. It's a long time ago. If you just type in Mega Hive, it may pop up on the YouTube feed. And back then, the YouTube skills, the videography skills were not very good, but I was climbing up a ladder and everything, and I was 10 years younger almost, and just, I wouldn't want to do it now. But the issue is, she mentioned something really important there, the hive beetles. If you stack a hive way up and you don't watch it and see what they're doing up there, you're creating a lot of room for that to happen. Really, you need to let the bees grow into the space that they need. If you look at my bee yards, and I think a lot of people around here where we've got this massive flow coming in right now with tallow, you'll see colonies or beehives that are stacked at different heights, because you got to kind of manage that space. You can have an extra box or even 2 on there that may not get filled, but if you stack 5 boxes when you don't need them, number one, you're not utilizing your equipment efficiently, and number 2, there is a risk of hive beetles. Another problem that can happen sometimes if you have a massive hive like that is if they fill it to the top and then they start backfilling it down, which if it's massive, they may not do that. But then if there's so much honey in there and the population does begin to decrease, that's when the hive beetles could take over. So those are some things to consider, but you can do it. You just got to really watch it close. And I think it's a good idea to take the honey off when those boxes get full. You don't want to have, like, in my opinion, 8 boxes of capped honey sitting on top of a hive, especially if the population begins to decrease, which it will. As the honey flow starts to go down, the bees will start to kind of back off a little bit, in my experience. So I've kind of done both. I've had the great big tall colonies. I've still got a few that are pretty impressive, and then but most of mine have right now probably 3 to 4 boxes on them, and I think they'll probably fill them all up. But I kind of go through, like, I don't have a lot of actual bee work to do right now. I'm just letting them pack it in. But what I'll be doing, the next couple of weekends is just kind of walking around, cracking lids, seeing if bees are up in the top box, maybe break a box or 2 off and just see what they're doing below, just kind of peeking and assessing. And if I go in a colony and it's got 3 mediums on the top above the queen excluder and there are no bees in the top box, I'll walk over to the colony, 10 feet away, and they're just packed out. They're just packing the honey in. Then I'm going to take that box off of the one hive and put it on the other so they can fill it up. And I kind of just manage the space according to the strength of the colony. And you don't really know always how strong those colonies are going to be until you start stacking boxes. And so that's kind of how I do it. But yeah, down here in the South especially, man, it's just the hive beetles can wreak havoc. I don't know if they love the honey. It's just that space up there that they have if the bees aren't able to tend it. And then they start laying eggs in that honey, and then those larvae hatch, and then you have a slime out, and you have a gigantic 10-pound swarm up in a tree because the hive beetles run the bees out. Ask me how I know.
How do you know, Bruce? No, I'm just kidding. One other thing that to add to that, Bruce, is first, well said. The thing that I think about is sometimes we're in one of these situations where it's like, what would be cool is to see how many boxes we can stack up. Like, okay, cool, if we can see what they do. But here's the real talk about the situation is, tell me what in the world you're going to do with 4 or 5 or 6 supers of honey. Like, what is your strategy for removing the bees out of 6 supers of honey at the same time? Because typically, I'm not an expert, so I guarantee you somebody has a really clever way of doing that. But let's say you use an escape. Look at Bruce. Let's say you have an escape board. That that could be 5-6 days that you would have to have an escape board on to get that many supers clear. What are you going to do? Run? I'm not going to be using BeeGo anymore. I can tell you that. I've got something else I'll be using in the future. But how much BeeGo and fume boards do you have to use? And what if you get into a cloudy day and they're just not having it? And you're spraying the felt and you're spraying it and you're spraying it and you're putting the fume board on top and they're not moving, but all they're doing is getting upset. Now you got 5 and 6 frames of bees don't want to get out of the supers. What are you going to do? Start digging through there, leaf blowing every single one out, start pulling every frame out and hitting them with the bee brush and then and then a leaf blow. No, it gets to be a problem. If you've got 1 or 2 or 3 supers, man, that is way easier to work through than if you get to 3+ supers. On how in the world are you going to, now if it's just one colony, okay, cool. Chalk it up to experience and a good time was had by all. It was a fun story to tell that at your bee club. But man, if you got 4 or 5 or 6 colonies and that is your program, just remember the idea, I'm guilty of it too. I'll just throw this box on there for now so it'll keep it safe. They'll keep working it. It's kind of like a little insurance policy. Just throw that extra super on there. It's fine. It's fine. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. At some point, you can only kick the can down the curb so long. You got to peel back them supers. And if you decide it's too intimidating, I'm not going to do it, then here's the big risk. Bruce already nailed it, hive beetles. But the big risk is that if they're packing honey in that much, and that brood chamber starts to shrink, and everything's entombed of honey, you're going to start losing your not just your field force, but your future field force and the workers inside the colony. You're not going to have enough bees in that colony to even tend to that. Are you telling me that you're going to get in there when you've got 2 or 3 deeps of brood and 5 or 6 supers of honey? Who honestly is going to tell me that they're, oh yeah, no, I'm going to get in there and I'm giving them fresh boxes. I'm under supering the brood. I'm under supering the supers. I'm making sure my supers have supers. No one's getting in there and making sure that those bees actually have the room that they need to keep growing without A, swarming, or B, being honey bound. It becomes a problem. At some point, bees do what they do so well, and that is multiply and store honey. And if you don't get in there, at some point, you have to break it off and say, boom, we're done. We got to pull honey, put the supers back. We got to split these rascals out. If you don't, you're going to have the tales of woe and misery, like the Dothan Shogun himself, of hive beetle mania. Nobody wants that. Nobody got time for all that.
So,
Right?
Greg,
Time for that.
Greg, how do you really feel about it?
Sorry, that was just a little taste.
I've worked, and most of mine don't have more than 3. I do have quite a few with 3 or 4, but I've learned how to work the fume boards pretty quick, and I have several fume boards, and so you can. And I don't use BeeGo. I used it, I think, once, and that was enough for me. And that was back when I was a brand new beekeeper. I'm like, that stuff smells like vomit. I'm not using that anymore. So, but you got the honeybee gone. You got what's the other one that people use? The honey bandit. Those actually smell good. They don't smell bad at all. So, but you actually, I'll have, if I got 2 crew, like if I have a good, like Jeremy and me a couple weeks ago, we had, I think, 5 fume boards going at the time. And even if they're stacked up high, you can, and it's good. You spray the stuff on there. A lot of you stick it on top of the box. You go to the next one and you stack on about 5 colonies. You come back to the first one and you remove the box, and there's usually not many bees left. So you blow the few bees out, go put it on the trailer. Then you drop that fume board down to the next box. Then you move on to the next hive, and you really can get going quickly that way. And it works well. There's just a lot of danger though with leaving them there too long with too much honey and not enough bees, because like you say, there's a lot of room for shenanigans to happen up in there with those hive beetles and different pests. So you got to be sure that you manage your colonies properly and so forth. That's a great question though. Really great question. And yeah. When I had that mega hive, when I had that thing that was stacked, 11, 12, 13 boxes tall with the ladder, I didn't have fume boards. I didn't use bees. I didn't have any of that. So I was taking those boxes off, shaking all the bees off one at a time. That was right here in my backyard. It looked like the Atlanta airport coming out and through my neighbor's backyard with that thing. It was really a cool experiment, a lot of fun, but I physically couldn't do that now. I'm just not, because I had to climb up on that ladder, and I'd get up. It's a 6-foot ladder. I'd be up I'd be way up there. It's about, I think it was 9 to 10 feet tall, about 9 feet tall. and it never blew over. That's the other miracle of it. That's the other miracle about it. It never blew
Crazy.
over. But people would be like, I'd post stuff on Facebook about it. And people would be like, you're just stacking those boxes up to try and impress us. There aren't really bees in all those boxes. And then I just show pictures. I mean, they put honey in that thing. And that was the most incredible beehive I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was unbelievable.
I've only ever, when I had all double deeps, the highest I've ever gone is 4 supers on one of them. So I had 2 deeps and then 4 supers, and it was too much. I won't do that again.
Y'all know I've tried everything. Not everything, but I haven't tried your hexagonal hive yet, Brian. But I've tried a lot of darn things out there. So
nice segue.
So I know.
Yeah. Yep. I haven't tried that hex hive yet either.
What, you spent 18 weeks building it? At some point, it'll be ready for the season, I'm sure. You know, you're back there, Mr. Mattel's back here making all the cool queen right dial gizmos and gadgets. Ain't nobody got time to build the hex hive, but I'm looking forward to seeing. I always like to I just want to see what the bees do. You know, I hope I never lose the tinkerer, where I just want to see what they do. I just want to see how do they react. What do I learn from them by just tuning into this? You know,
like when I looked at that, if you look at where do bees live,
y'all see that? There's that colony right there. Can y'all see it?
Look at that. Would you look at that?
I would never do that.
I'm not even sure that was at its highest point. It may have even gone higher than that, but that was pretty impressive.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That looks like a lighthouse. Literally looks like a lighthouse.
I should have put a light on top of it. That would have been kind of cool. But I didn't want to draw a lot of attention. But my neighbors behind me, they could see it sticking up there, I'm sure. But it was pointed. Gosh, I'm not sure which direction. It was pointed towards the
unreal.
There's a fence. You can see a little fence let's see. Right. This is the front of the hive on this side over here where my finger is. And my neighbor's yard, they literally would fly through that chain link fence, and they went right around the end of my neighbor's house. And when the sun was just right, it looked like a dang Atlanta airport. My neighbors loved it though. They thought it was the coolest thing. They got mad when I moved that hive. They were like, I'm like, that's just too many bees, too much room for problems to happen. So I finally moved it.
Yeah.
And they were just like, what'd you do with that hive? What'd you do with the bees? They were upset about it. It was an older couple, and they used to sit on their back porch, I guess, and just watch them, but it kind of upset them a little bit. So anyway.
Now, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. But did that hive swarm? How did you keep that big a colony in there? Bruce.
Never swarmed. It did not swarm.
It was a tease, man. I said, don't tell us. Oh. Go check the video out and find out. Did they swarm? Did they stay?
I will tell you this. It was super. It actually that thing
started.
That was my third year keeping bees.
Find out.
My third year keeping bees. And in 2014, in 2013 I started. 2014 I had no idea at all, and all my bees were swarming everywhere. And this was actually one of the original swarms I caught. Maybe one of the first few swarms I caught in 2014. And I just kind of watched them, and then I heard about Tim Ives that moving into that next year, and I'm like, I've got the perfect hive. I just moved the swarm there, set it down in my backyard on those cinder blocks, and I could see it was going to be strong. So I'm like, well, let's try the 3 deep system with this hive. And so I did, and it worked out perfectly. But it was actually one of my original hives. It was one of the first swarms I ever caught grew into that monster. And then that year was 315 pounds. The next year I think I got 200 pounds off of it. Wow. And then it just fizzled out. I moved it out to another spot, and it just fizzled out and died out. But it was so much fun at the time, but I wouldn't even want to try it now. It would take 45 minutes to an hour just to go through that thing, to take the boxes down, lay them out, look at them, because you had to start at the top. And it was
Bruce, I've got your next thing.
What?
I'm always throwing ideas at you. I've got your next thing. Are you ready for this?
Uh-oh.
Right, hear me out. Okay. You've mentioned many times that you're a therapist. Okay. New YouTube channel. I can see it now. Bodacious Bod by Bruce. Right? And your entire regiment. No battle ropes. Okay. No weightlifting. No kettlebells. Right? We're nothing but Bodacious Bod by Bruce. And you're going to be twisting and pulling and lifting these giant supers on these monster hives. Bodacious Bod.
It will work. It will work. I think that's a good idea.
I can
Can
see
you
it.
have
Bruce.
can you have in the background like that 70s aerobics music going?
That would be perfect. Yeah. They probably got some on Epidemic Sound, don't they, Greg? Probably, I would imagine. I could probably come up with that.
Ready? Here it is.
There it is. Yep.
Bodacious Bod by Bruce.
Oh, God.
What is every Thursday night at 12:30 a.m.? I'm just kidding.
All right.
I'll stop. I'll get out of control. I'm just going to stop right there. Oh, come on. But that, hey.
Anyway. Hive says, give me 50 breed box squats.
I just closed my eyes and saw Bruce looked at these supers.
Why am I always the brunt of all these jokes? It's never you guys. It's always me. I'm so gullible.
That's hilarious.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
I can take it. I've taken a lot worse in my life, so I'm good.
Oh.
I'm a YouTuber. I've had a lot worse.
It's just, hey, just keep it in the back of your mind. Bruce in tights. Hey.
No, you don't want to picture that. I promise you. You don't want to picture that.
Oh man.
Maybe if I incorporated the Greg's program, I might be able to pull it off, but I couldn't pull it off now.
I don't know. My
Anyway.
program is pretty poor.
We digress. Let's just move on to another question.
So anyway,
hopefully we answer that question.
Look, guys, if you want to see the debut of Bodacious Bod by Bruce, tune in next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Bruce's Bees YouTube channel, where you too can win a chance to win a bazillion things. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun. And in all seriously, man, Bruce, huge shout out. 25,000 subscribers. Hey, that's a big deal. You know, we're in the beekeeping YouTube genre. And truth be told, it is a very small niche. You know, in the grand scheme of YouTube channels, you know, big channels have millions and millions of views, but they're serving a huge, wide audience. You know, here we are, beekeeping YouTubers with this little tiny possibility of reach. And Bruce, you've somehow managed to get 25,000 subs because you're doing a great job putting out really good videos, just sharing your journey. And I think a lot of folks appreciate that. So Bruce, congratulations. 25K, the big show, Bruce's Bodacious Big Show next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Bruce, what's coming up with you and all the prep work this coming week?
Fortunately, I have awesome friends and fellow StreamTeam Beekeeping Chat co-hosts that are willing to do some of that work and do some of that lifting for me, and I appreciate it. You know, Brian over there, he's the tech guy that's going to help me put everything together, and we're going to talk about how we're going to make it all happen after we get off here tonight. But I just, you know, honestly, nothing I've done, I'm willing to get out in there and do the work and work hard and work in the bees and film the footage. But without the folks here in this, in the comment section right here, on my videos, on your videos, on this StreamTeam videos, without you two and the community that we've been able to be a part of, and hopefully we've made a difference in the beekeeping industry a little bit, and hopefully we can continue to bring a positive light on some things in the beekeeping world and help grow this family. You call it a family, this community together. Really, it's not. I mean, I work hard. I try hard. I've tried to increase and improve my game. Today, I was walking out to my car thinking about some ideas of what I want to do to improve what I'm doing and maybe create a better product. And I do that all the time. And I'm willing to do the work, but really without the folks out here, the customers that buy my honey, that buy you guys' products, the folks in the comments here that are willing to come on here on these chats or to watch the videos that we produce, I would be nothing, you know, and I still feel like I've got so much to do and so much I want to accomplish, but I feel like it has been a lot of work. But it's also been a lot of fun. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. I've learned so much through the beekeeping, through beekeeping, through the YouTube thing, I've met so many awesome people literally from all over the world. I think you guys would agree with that, how incredible that is. So it's like, Greg, I mean, it all comes back to what you said. It's like the bees are the conduit to the people. Honestly, the bees are really cool. We all love the bees, and they're incredible, awesome, therapeutic, just amazing little critters. It's divine. It's a divine thing. but it can be very frustrating and very exhilarating at the same time. But really, it boils down to the relationships that we've established with the three of us. Just you guys have become two of my just great friends, and then all the folks. So many of the names that are scrolling through here, I've met in person. I've talked to on the phone. You guys have messaged me, asked questions, and I hope I've been gracious enough or been able to answer your questions in a positive way. And that's kind of what it's all about. I tell people, if you watch my channel, and I think you guys agree, I know very little. I'm always learning about the bees. I've tried some just absolutely stupid things, some dumb things that I would never try again, and I've learned that way. That 3 deep colony, that mega hive, it wasn't a dumb thing, but I just can't. I could not duplicate it again. I just couldn't do it. There's so many things involved, but it was fun, and I learned a lot from it, and I still utilize some of those principles today. And so, anyway, long-winded answer to just say I appreciate all you guys, the three of you guys, everyone in the comments here, and everyone who's been willing to tune in and watch some of my videos. And I hope that you'll continue to come along for the ride. I think things are going to get bigger and better, not only on my channel, but for the StreamTeam Beekeeping Chat and for this entire community. There are a lot of people I see in the comments here that have their own channels. A lot of people just trying to get their thing rolling, just getting started. And then a lot of them have been doing it for a while. And I would just say, if it's something you enjoy doing, if you want to be successful, just keep plugging, man. Just keep going. And, in my opinion, if I never get to 30,000 subscribers, if I never get to 26,000 subscribers, I have learned so much, and I feel like I'm a better person. And I've learned so many things that have benefited me in my life through the experience, that it's been well worth it. And I think those who are working at it would agree with that. So thanks, everybody.
Good stuff. Well, Mr. Burns, what's happening in the next 6 days at Nature's Image Farm?
Man, we got some fun products to stock on the shelf. We got some trucks coming this week, getting everything ready and prepping for another fun learning yard this Saturday. So looking forward to seeing all of our learning yard crew here. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to meet here in the shop, talk about exactly what's going on right now, what you need to know, and take some Q&As. And we're going to go right out to the learning yard and apply it hands-on. It's a fun way for beginning beekeepers to get a hands-on approach from folks who are doing this in a way that they've got to keep bees alive. So it's fun to be able to bring folks kind of into our fold and help outfit them with not just the equipment and supplies, but the education and the encouragement to get in there and really enjoy and be successful with this beekeeping journey. So that's coming up this Saturday. The Learning Yard here at Nature's Image Farm is going to be awesome. We hope to get a lot of some videos out here in the near future. We got some really fun stuff to share, including, is artificial insemination for you? When you hear artificial insemination, does that automatically think, oh my gosh, I have to be a white coat PhD entomologist to be able to qualify for that kind of a skill set or opportunity? You would be surprised. So I got a great video coming out with Apis Engineering, Del McMahon, talking just exactly about that. Looking forward to that for sure. Last Saturday, we were at the Homestead Rendezvous 2024 and up here in Ohio. And it's a lot of fun meeting with homesteaders and beekeepers and kind of sharing kind of who we are, what we do. And homesteaders, that's our people. That's who we are at our core. And a lot of folks haven't heard that entire story, and I'll spare you the long story now, but we were started off as a homestead throwing everything against the wall to see what would stick. And after the milk cows and the pigs and the beef cows and the turkeys and the chickens and the rabbits and the cats, and I said cats, we've realized that bees were the thing. And so the bees grew and the bees grew and the bees grew. The green grass grows all around, and the green grass grows all around. That's a long story, but homesteaders, that's our heart. That's who we are. Those are our people. It's a lot of fun. And beekeepers and homesteaders are really the same person. A lot of times it's a beautiful thing going on there. So that's pretty cool. Other than that, my brain's fried. All I can picture is Bruce, handlebar mustache, tights, audacious bod by Bruce, honeybee box squats. Give me 10. I'm thinking next Wednesday. We should. There it is. Oh, yes.
Is that
Come
from
on,
Brian
guys.
Lee? Is that from Brian Lee?
Come on, give it up. There it is. Bodacious Bod by Bruce. There it is. There it is. Look at that. Man, look at that. Jiminy Christmas. See, that's why you're a physical therapist, Bruce. You still got it.
Shoot.
43 years young, and you still got it. That's awesome. Anyways, fellas, I'm enjoying. This is a part of the year where it's as hectic as you can imagine, but I'm enjoying it. It's beautiful outside today. I noticed the tulip poplars are blooming. It is just, God has been good. There's been such an abundant blessing this year. There's lots of things that we look for, but it's like every time we go out and we're in that mentality, we always see rabbits. And what's interesting, a story for a different day, totally sidebar way out there, but years where we see rabbits and they're in like little groups of 3 everywhere we go. 3 rabbits. What does that mean to me? What does that mean to you? That's a story for a different day. But I'm just in a mode of just extreme gratitude and thankfulness, and I can just appreciate that God woke me up this morning. I'm breathing on my own. I'm on my own 2 feet, and everywhere you look around is beautiful. And so that's kind of the mentality that I'm in right now. One more time, don't miss it. Next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Bruce's Bees channel, the big 25,000 subscriber giveaway show. You don't want to miss it. Brian, what's coming up with Brian and Castle Hives this next week?
Wow. I just I'm letting the colonies ride right now. I'm hoping that the weather stays kind of where it's at. I'm sure we'll get a little bit of precipitation, but I'm hoping that they ride the flow that's out there now. That way they can make me some honey. So, but I do have. I see a lot of people, and a couple people commented also about when are bees going in the old hex hive. I need to get frames, and I need to cut them down so that they could fit the foundation. I don't want to just put a colony in there and let them build comb out, because just the configuration, if you look at that thing, how the frames are, I think it would create a headache without foundation. So it's probably going to be a week or 2 for me to do that, just with my schedule and everything, and to go through and cut 30 or 45 frames, whatever. It's going to take some time, but in the next week or 2 I'll have that. But wonky comb DC, you got it. I could just see them creating a mess inside of a hexagon shape. But I'll be working on that, and I got a couple other things. I've had people through I think it's probably been 6 months or more now. People keep mentioning about quail. People keep mentioning what I do with the quail. So I'm going to film the whole entire process, and it's probably going to start tomorrow, of taking an egg from my cages and going through the entire incubation and grow out period and everything. That way I show the entire process of everything. So, but I'm going to start that, and I got a couple other things too. So it's going to be busy. So yeah, DC's asking, you have quail? Yes, 30 something. So, but yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I've got 2 videos that I want to more develop like a storyline to it. So that way it's a little bit, it keeps your attention, So, but we'll see. It's going to take some time. It's probably that video there. It's going to take me 6 to 8 weeks to do it, just to do the whole process and everything, and show everything that I do. And, but it'll be just what I do. I'm not saying I'm an expert at that. So, but it'll be fun. So, but I'm really looking forward to next week celebrating Bruce's milestone. I mean, again, kudos, Bruce, because you've put in countless hours. It just really looking forward to next week and celebrating that milestone that you hit. So well deserved.
Thank you, fellas.
Yeah. So, Do Mr. Burns, do you want to end it out, buddy?
Absolutely. We want to thank everyone for spending time with us tonight. You guys are awesome. You're the reason we're here. You're the reason that we keeps the lights going, keeps everything happening. We appreciate you guys so much. What a great future for the rest of this beekeeping season, for not just the stream team, but this whole community. It's going to be a lot of fun. So many new developments that are going on right now. They're going to make a huge difference in the future of beekeeping. And it's an exciting time to be a beekeeper. From all of us here at the Stream Team, we want to thank you for spending your night with us. We really appreciate you guys. Don't forget, next Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Bruce's Bees channel, Bodacious Pod by Bruce. Be there or be square. As always, we want to remind you to be the lighthouse and be the change you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.